Hello once again and welcome to the Paranormal Nightstalker. I am Joel Walling. With me as always is Michael Smith, and today might be something, well, it's going to be something completely different, but it might even be a little more chaotic than normal because of the fact that both of us are still, I don't, like I said, I've said 1,000 times, I don't like using the term fighting a cold because, and in my opinion at least, if you're going to fight with something, there should be at least a chance of winning. And let's face it, none of us ever win. But we have been going through fits of coughing hysteria, I guess would be the best way to put it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's it pretty much. I still sound awful, but if I
Yeah,
go off a coughing fit, just know I'm still going to be here when I'm done, I hope.
it's actually just a couple of seconds before we came on the air. We were actually me and Michael both were sitting here coughing up a lung, which I smoke, so I don't really have a lot of lungs to cough up. But anyway, it's like I said, today it's going to be something completely different for us because it's something that we don't normally do. We usually stick strictly to the paranormal side of things with the ability, the we do more of like investigations and equipment and theory and that kind of stuff, or we get like experts on to talk about cryptozoology or UFOs or whatever that is that happens to be or the topic of the day. But today we're actually doing something completely different by going to talk about something that is on television. Well, Netflix, which I guess is technically television. I mean, that seems to be the station everybody watches anymore. I don't. I honestly, I think the days of network TV are dead.
Yeah, pretty much. We don't watching network much at all.
I mean, me and my wife, we still love the like Hell's Kitchen, and I actually both of us are pretty good, big fans of this. The two new shows, 911 and New Amsterdam. Both of those are actually really good. I like them. But other than that, network is pretty much out for us. And even on those shows, we don't watch anything live. I don't think we've like watched live TV in God since we got Netflix. We did Netflix and we upgraded to the DVR system, the ones you can record you record your TV instead of having to watch it live. Because remember, actually, that was something I had in the U.S. when I first came to Canada, and I was telling Charmaine about that. I was like, if you get this, you're never going to be able to go back to the old way of watching TV again. And she's like, "Oh, it can't be that." I was like, "It is that that far with the DVR and stuff." Because I mean, you sit there, you hit a button a couple of times, you're right back to your show. You don't have the long commercials. If you got to go, you got to go to the bathroom, you want to get a drink, something like that, you just hit the pause button. You're done. You go and do what you got to do. You come back, and then they up the bar, I guess you'd say, by creating Netflix, where all you do literally is just go into it and scroll through, find something, and you watch it. It's instant. There's no commercials. There's no nothing. And for the minimal fee, I mean, we've got the extended one where it's I think 11. It's either 11.99 or 13.99 a month, and
Yeah, we
that's
have the same thing, and it's like if you want to watch something that's already been out that you managed to not see, you know, or you
yeah,
only saw part of it, you want to watch the whole series. Like we're watching Mad Men right now.
yeah. That's actually one that I've been told to watch, but I haven't really gotten into it. I did watch one I completely missed on there was Breaking Bad, and I absolutely love that show. That was one I've actually watched the entire show twice, the entire season, the entire series, because I got into it. I think I was close to the last season, and I looked at Charmaine. I'd been telling her, this show's really good. You should give it a shot. It's really good. You should give it a shot. And she's like, well, I'll tell you. We were just looking for something on. She's like, well, okay, yeah, let's try this. I'll try this Breaking Bad. And she got hooked. We ended up watching, like I said, I ended up watching the entire series twice because I watched it once on my own, and then I watched it once in its entirety with her from episode one to the very last one. That's one. When I sit at night sometime and I'm like can't sleep and I'm trying to think of something to watch and I'm trying to like, I actually consider watching it again. It's one. It turned into one of my favorite shows of all time. It
We
was
had
just. Hmm,
I was gonna say because it'd been like around Halloween and stuff, and we've been doing a lot of investigations and evidence review and all kind of things. And I'm always about halfway looking for a good paranormal themed show to watch. They had a couple. Um, One of them was called Haunted, and they're supposedly true stories. I don't know if they actually are or not, but they say that they're based on true stories.
well, you have
And
to kind of take them with the same grain you take any of the paranormal TV shows.
yeah, but they are quite good. And the other one was The Haunting of Hill House.
Both of
Um,
these are available on Netflix. That was one of the things that started the whole conversation about Netflix a few minutes ago. They
and
are both available on Netflix. Now, I personally, I kind of, I liked, was it Haunted?
yeah,
Now, I haven't finished that series. I think I've actually got like two episodes left on it.
I think I do too. I'm only like the fourth one in or something, or fifth maybe.
But they really, hold on. Okay, so now, like we were saying that the Haunted is a 30-minute series where I think, like we were talking about, we hadn't quite finished the series yet. I am impressed with the first few episodes, especially the slaughterhouse.
Oh, that poor bastard.
Oh, that was the one, the first one actually. The guy that he he's either telling the gospel's truth or he
He's.
is one of the greatest actors of all time. I mean, that's
I
the
mean,
only.
you felt bad for that man.
Yeah, you honestly did. You hurt for the guy. I mean, you could feel pain coming from him. That's what I was saying. He's either telling the gospel's truth or he is the greatest actor of all time. Because I know I've watched, I'm a movie person. I've seen literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies, and I've never seen somebody that can portray emotion like that. That can actually make you pull you in enough that you actually feel him. And it
Yeah,
just
you felt bad for that poor schmuck. I mean, from the time he was a kid and to even now, and he's still being haunted by this thing.
yeah. And it was the one thing, and I guess this is kind of a spoiler alert. We should have put that out before now, but if you're one of those people that get insulted by spoilers, just don't. It's not. It doesn't change any damn thing. But anyway, um, one of the parts in it that really got me with him was when he was sitting there and he was like, "I see these people online and I talk to these people and they're like, oh yeah, it's so cool. My house is haunted." Or, "Oh, I'd love to live in a haunted house. I'd love to live with a ghost." He's like, and I always think, fuck you. No, it's not. This is not cool. This is not fun. And being an investigator, and I mean, I'm not going to say every haunting in the world is at that level, because honest to God, I would say,
They all were. I think I'd quit.
yeah, exactly. If they were all at that kind, I wouldn't mess with it. You know, I've told the story several times about well, he was connected to the land that our friend Star used to live on, and he was a slave, but he was a very friendly person, especially when people were nice with him. You know, when of course this was a spirit, but he was curious about everything, so he would follow me home. I would go there and work on the Nightstalker with her and work on the website and everything. Then I would come home and he would follow me home. Well, when he would walk, and I could hear him walking everywhere. I've even had at one time I had video and picture of him walking through my house, and I would tell him, okay, you're being too loud. There are other people here to sleep. You need to go back home. And he would. That was a completely innocent, friendly haunting. That person, that spirit, that energy, whatever you want to call it, it was he was just curious. He just wanted to see the rest of the world. This was a person that had a horrible, horrible life, and now he is treated where when I would walk in, I would say hi to Star, I would say hi to the dog, and I would say hi to him. He was treated kindly then. He was treated as some respect and everything. So that was the kind of haunting that is completely harmless. If I'm not mistaken, Star even invited him to come with her when she moved from there.
I wonder if he did.
I don't know. I've always wondered that. I always have wondered that because because actually that was one of the when I heard she was moving. It was of course she moved from there. It's had to have been 6 or 7 years ago now. But when I heard she was moving, I actually asked her about it because I was like, what are we going to do with him? And I think she said she talked to him and basically gave him the option of crossing over or coming with her.
He may have crossed.
I don't remember. It's like I said, that's been way too long for me to remember.
Yeah.
And I kind of, now with Star not being there, I hope he did. But that's like I said, that was a completely innocent haunting. It was an intelligent haunting, very much so, but it was completely innocent. Now we go to this guy's type of haunting, where there are attacks, and this guy has been terrified for most of his life. There is no fun in this. There's no cool factor.
No.
It's pure and simple. That is this. I've dealt with those kind of hauntings. You've dealt with those kind of hauntings.
Hell, we're
You know,
dealing with one now. We
yeah,
can't talk about it, but we're dealing with one now.
and for the investigator part of it, you feel helpless
Yeah,
and
tell me.
and kind of almost like in a worthless sense because it's like you should know how to do this stuff, but you can't
That's when there are
and
kids involved.
then
You know?
especially when you're dealing with children involved in it, it's even worse. And then you have to you become like part therapist too because they can't go to somebody and say, I'm being haunted, my family's being attacked,
No,
I
they'll
live
wind
in
up
a
on damn medication or something,
they'll have
or
them
they'll lose
committed.
their kid, or they'll
Yeah,
lose their kids. They'll have social services and everybody else in there.
you know. And while we're bringing up that is he talks about it in the episode that his parents, when he was younger, his parents pretended like it was all in his imagination. It wasn't until later, when he was an adult, or a teenager or an adult, he found out. But his mother told him, "We saw all of it too, but where were we going to go? What were we going to do?" So they basically told their kid, "Oh, you have an overactive imagination. None of this stuff is real," even though they knew it was because they were experiencing it themselves. But still, they could not go. Like you said, they go to someone and say, "Hey, my house is haunted. We're me and my family are being attacked." They're going to call the people in the white van that takes you to the padded room. You're going to
Yeah,
lose your kids. Everyone's going to think you're crazy. So it turns it
2000.
into where you put it in on yourself, and then you sit there and it's like, well, you even start doubting your own sanity because after so long of going through this, hey, maybe I am crazy. It's easier explaining by saying, hey, I'm crazy, than it is by admitting, okay, something I can't see or touch or anything else just scratched me or just pushed me down or just, opened a door.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had stuff at our houses happen at different times, and you know that whatever it was, you know that that object wasn't there before, or you know it didn't get there on its own. How did it get there? And where was it? And am I losing my freaking mind?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's that kind of thing. It just, and it's bad enough when you're an investigator because you kind of know what's going on a little bit, you hope. But even sometimes, even then, it'll get you. Your half of your brain will slap the other half of your brain because
Oh,
something
yeah.
happens. I know I did not put that there. You know,
And,
and
I think that's one that almost everybody listening could probably uh, understand. Because I don't think there's probably anybody in the world that hasn't torn someplace apart looking for something. It's your car keys, your wallet, your glasses, whatever. You know, have just tore the place apart looking for it, and then find it right in the middle of where you're looking. I mean, I personally had that go on the other night. My wife has a pair of her favorite pair of socks. They're these fuzzy ones that she wears from uh, uh, what are the kids got it for Christmas? They're fuzzy and warm and all this. She just loves those. Well, I went all over our room looking for them. We were both looking for them, and I moved this. I thought, okay, well maybe they got mixed in with this. So I looked at this. I didn't see them. I come back out and I'm like, well, you're going to have to go to Plan B because I don't know where the hell those socks went. So she had another, or I was actually getting her. I have these like wool insulated socks, so I was getting her a pair of those. I go around the corner, I look, sitting right on the pile. It was a pile of clothes that I was afraid it got, or they're in the dirty clothes. So I was afraid it got mixed in with those. Right where I just moved everything, there they sit, right on top, folded up. I know there's no way in hell I missed those, especially not folded up and laying on top of everything. So I don't think there's anybody that hasn't experienced that at some point.
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Everybody has stuff like that happen at one time or another. And, I mean, it kind of goes over the territory for us because we investigate things and we're always careful not to bring stuff home or whatever. But even still, sometimes stuff happens. If we get too deep into a case, we get weirdness happen.
Oh yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Well, you open up
But
that door, regardless, and
yeah,
this isn't going like if you're psychic or you're a medium or whatever. And I know you guys have probably heard Sherry talk about that, how she opens the door. She opens the door. Well, it. I was always well. I'd ask Star about this because it seemed like we did have a lot of weird stuff go on, and we did have a lot of stuff happen with investigations and things like that. And I remember asking her, I was like, "Why? Why does it seem like this kind of stuff goes on when we're doing that?" And she's like, "Well, because the energy's always around you. It's always there. It knows you're trying to communicate with it, so it's trying to communicate back. And it doesn't necessarily mean it won't follow you around and it won't try to keep doing it. So that is exactly why when we do this, we do, especially when we deal with anything with EVP. Any of our EVP experiences, experiments, just seem to, I don't know, attract all kinds of crazy.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
we get all kind of goofy crap happening.
every time. That's a every time event there. Um,
actually had to quit doing so much of it, the research at home, because I was getting too much weird crap happening at the house.
Yeah, and you do have to, like you said, you do have to be careful. You do have to watch that. But I was talking about another one of the episodes on there. I don't know if you remember. I think it's the third one. I thought it was called the Slaughterhouse.
Yeah,
It was
the
about
guy.
basically he was a serial killer. He wasn't. It wasn't so much. At least to me, I don't think it really has that much to do with ghost or paranormal. As I think it's the. I think it's his children trying to justify what they saw.
Yeah, it's also possible that there was some residual activity, because if
Oh
anything would
yeah,
cause it, that would be it.
I have no doubt there was residual activity, but I was, again, this is a spoiler alert. Don't want anybody, oh my god, and, you told the whole story, whatever. But they, basically, their father was a serial killer. He used to pick up hitchhikers and people like that, bring them back to their house and kill them. He would say he was picking up strays, and like with any other stray, either it you take it in or you euthanize it, and that's what he would do. So his one of his kids was convinced that he was possessed by a demon. Like I said, I'm not putting it so much as I honestly, I'm not calling her a liar, but I'm saying that I think that it was more of the events that were witnessed through the eyes of a child trying to be explained by the mind of an adult. And
Yeah,
I
and that
think rather than sit there and admit that her father was a horrific murderer, it's easier for her to say and accept that he was possessed by demons.
yeah, it kind of puts it on another, you know,
It wasn't his
somebody
fault.
else's fault.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't his fault. He was possessed by demons. I'm not saying this guy wasn't an asshole. I'm not saying, of course, he was a murderer, but bad people are bad people. There's millions of them in the world. Jeffrey
yeah,
Dahmer was a horrible person. He wasn't
yeah.
possessed by demons.
Well, now, in all fairness, it is also possible that some of the people that are serial killers actually could be possessed.
Yeah,
I mean,
and there is a possibility with that, and that is
there's a
definitely
good
true.
possibility of that. I mean, you can't rule that out. But, um, the main thing I would take away from this, at least for me, is if you're listening and you got kids, and your kids have got stuff going on, listen to your kids. If they tell you I see something, or someone comes to me at night, or if they get scratches that you can't explain, you don't have pets or whatever, and they've got stuff like, and they're scared. You know, I mean, kids have nightmares, sure, and you know, so you'd have to use your own discretion and know your child. But if it's becoming a chronic thing and the kids are terrified, maybe consider something a little outside the norm. You know, I mean, we don't want you to run off and say everything's a ghost or a haunting, because it's not. But
No.
at least at some point, entertain the notion that maybe it could be something going on. Because groups that come in and investigate, they don't charge. If a group ever wants to charge,
reputable groups.
reputable youth groups don't charge. So, maybe call somebody in. And, if you have to get someone for your child to talk to their counselor or a therapist, do that. But don't tell them they don't see anything. In the long run, what's your imagination? Or what if it's not? What if they're actually seeing it? No matter what it actually is, by you saying, oh, it's your imagination, you don't see anything, you're closing them off to the only avenue of release of communication that they have, which is to you. And we see it in cases all the time in domestic cases. People don't talk to each other. Kids don't talk to parents because they won't believe us. Or they talk to the parents and the parents don't believe us. See, I told you they wouldn't believe us.
Well,
The
you
husband
even have that
doesn't
going.
talk.
You even have that going one way or another way too is that the parents or the kids won't talk to the parents because they think, oh, they're not going to believe us, and at the same time, the
And the
parents won't
parents don't
say
talk to
anything
each
to the
other.
kids because they're afraid they'll scare them.
And then the husband won't talk to the wife or vice versa. And meanwhile, they're being terrorized. How many
And
times
then,
have we seen it? You know, we see
oh
it in
yeah,
all kind of cases.
I
Stuff's
was about to say
happening
if
to
you watch
one
any of
people, but
the
we see it.
if you watch any of the TV shows, you see that quite frequently. You'll have the one member of the family that like just will not believe it. A ghost could come up and skull fuck them, and they would still be like, "Nope, it's not happening." No, it's like the guy, the Iraqi guy, the minister of public relations or whatever, where they were showing the stuff from him on television, and he's like, "There are no U.S. troops entering Iraq. There are no U.S. troops entering Iraq," and you see a freaking U.S. helicopter fly past him. No, it's not. No, they're not. They're not here. They're not here. We don't know why they're saying they are, but they're not here. And it's like that. It had a flag on it. I mean, it's clearly it's a U.S. helicopter just flew past you. Nope, nope, not here.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean,
It's that, and you get into that a lot because, well, and again, it goes back into that. I'm going to deny it until I can't deny it, and then when I can't deny it anymore, I'm going to go on and admit I'm crazy because it's easier for me to admit I'm
yeah,
crazy than it is for me to say, okay, there's a ghost magic Mike in the side of my head right now. That's all there is to it. They can't accept it.
I mean, the first time I had something that saw something I couldn't explain, I was fairly young, and it was like, what the hell? If you tell somebody this, they're going to think you nuts. They're going to lock you up. I mean, it's
Oh
not
yeah,
like you can just come out with that in open conversation. Because first off, you can't prove any of it, and the logical thing for someone to think was, well, this person's nuts,
yeah,
or in therapy or whatever, you know.
yeah. And it's
And
like you said, you made a really good point. It's not something you just work out in your basic day-to-day conversation. You're not going to be sitting there like, so what did you do today at school, Billy? Oh, not much. Well, have you got your homework yet? Nope. The ghost keeps throwing the table around my room and I can't do it.
yeah,
It's not going to be worked up in normal conversation.
my house is haunted. Please pass the salt. It's not going to work like
Yeah,
that.
you know, it's like, oh, well, the house is haunted. Please pass the salt. Oh, where is the salt? Hold on. Can you bring the salt back now? And it drops out of the ceiling. Thank you. It's if people were to see that kind of thing, the asylums would be like overran. I mean, because I've said this before. Your brain doesn't process at the same speed when you see stuff like that, because your brain is literally sitting there telling itself, "We know we saw it, so it has to be real." But at the same time, what we saw can't be real. So how the hell do we see it? And it
So
just,
you,
it,
yeah,
it's. Hmm?
your brain's sitting there going, happy place.
Well,
You
it's
know,
kind of like when you call tech support and the first thing they ask you is, "Did you unplug it and plug it back in?" Your brain is being unplugged and plugging itself back in. It's like, hold on, guys. Okay, let's plug it back in. Nope, nope. We still saw it. Try it again. Nope,
yeah,
nope.
pretty
It was still
much.
there.
I
Okay,
mean,
we forgot half of the algebra and it's gone now. So don't worry. We just plug it back in and go on about our business.
pretty much. I mean, and that happens to people all the time. Even if they don't admit it, something will happen, but it can't be right. That can't be it.
No, you don't
But
want to admit that.
But
Well,
there it
most
is.
people don't want to admit that. We run around and try to find it.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really bode well for us. That doesn't make us all that sane either.
No, but I've never claimed that one.
No, me either.
There are a lot of things I've said I am. Sane is not one of them.
We're well around the bend on that for both of us. But um, and even in TV shows, even though they're designed for entertainment and whatever, if you want to look at some of them that actually give an adequate representation of how a lot of domestic cases work, A Haunting at Hill House was a prime example because you had a family and they were all it's on Netflix also. They're all experiencing something, different things, and the kids will tell the other kids. They'll tell mom and dad, but mom and dad don't believe them. The whole time, mom and dad are seeing shit too, but they don't want to scare the kids. So stuff's going on and going on. And next thing you know, everybody's traumatized all to hell and gone.
Yeah.
You
You know,
you got one that's a drug addict, and one's got all kind of mental issues, and one of them's antisocial, and one of them's whatever. And I mean, it. But that happens a lot. We've seen that in some of our own cases where families are all divided and they won't talk to each other. And if they do, they won't talk to certain members. You can't say something, and then it finally comes out, and you see how much fear that all of them are in. You got little kids afraid to be alone at night, and afraid to take a shower or take a bath because something's happening when they're taking a bath or a shower, and you feel bad because it's scaring the crap out of these poor kids, and you can't do a damn thing about it. And even the investigation groups, most of them, they'll go in and investigate, but they can't offer a freaking clue how to get rid of it.
well, that actually brings up a good thing because one of the reasons a lot of investigation groups can't offer ways to get rid of it is, for one thing, we don't honestly know ways of getting rid of them.
That's pretty much the fact.
The fact of it is, we do, we do house blessings, we do smudgings, and when I'm using the Queen's we, it's not as so much as me doing it personally, but I'm saying that the
All
world
we
as a
do is
whole, we do things like this. Uh, like my aunt, she's Christian, and she won't move into a house until a preacher has come through and blessed it. When she moves, that's the first thing. Before anything comes through that door, he's got to come through there and bless that house.
well, when
It's
we moved
just
into
her
our
thing.
condo, we moved into our condo. The very first day, that was the first thing I did was light smudge and smudge the house.
Yeah, so we use
I
these methods. We
smudge that.
smudge and we smudge. We do holy water, holy salt. We do blessings. We do this, and every religion and every different belief system is different. But we all have some method of that. And when we are face to face with some form of haunting or something like that, that's usually the first thing we turn to.
I mean, because there's not much of a fallback.
No, there's
Regardless of
not. There's not much of a fallback because basically there is no fallback.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we
regardless
have
of
to
what you
do.
see on TV, I mean, every year they have movies that come out about exorcisms and this and that. Now those do happen, and the criteria for that, at least as far as the Catholic Church is concerned, is lengthy. I mean, they have to. All other options are ruled out. I mean, there's psychological tests that are performed, medical tests for seizures, and all kind of things are done first.
They test everything from the paint
Super,
on the walls.
yeah, environmental factors,
Yeah,
everything.
everything.
And then if it's warranted, they'll send a team in, a team like us actually, to do an investigation and take back evidence to take to the bishops and say, well, this is what happened and this is what we got on tape and video or whatever, and they'll make the decision and they'll send somebody in. But those
And I
don't
think
happen that often.
No, they don't. They're very rare actually. An actual Catholic exorcism is very very rare. And I also want to kind of point this out. One of the misservices that are done by a lot of them is the over and done thing. Like they
Yeah, it's
pull up
not
their
like a
book and they're hooda booda boo, power of Christ compels you, splash splash splash. The sun comes up and the birds start chirping and everything's great. No,
yeah, no.
exorcisms take some of them take weeks and months and even years.
Years. Some of them take
And
years.
you know, like this is what I was saying with this, that we do all of this different stuff and it doesn't actually get rid of it. For whatever reason, it weakens and it moves it away. But most of it will come back.
Yeah, I mean it's it's not like like you said, it's not like you do it on the last 15 minutes of the hour long program between the commercials. You have the exorcism. It doesn't work like
Yeah,
that.
no.
And
And you go through this like well, one of the reasons that exorcisms are very 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 rare is because a true exorcism they can kill you. I mean, this is an extreme case. This is at a level that most investigation groups will never see. And if they've
I don't
got any damn sense, they don't
I
want
don't
to
want
see it. I mean,
I mean
even
we
as much of a researcher as I am, and there's pretty much not a lot I wouldn't do for my research. I think I'd even have to think about that. You know?
well, I mean hell, being I don't often talk about it on the air, but being friends with you has certain limitations because for whatever reason, every first case of a new team that you work, and I also always seem to be with you on this, ends up being something we got to roll some attachments from.
Yeah. But
And
I have been rethinking that theory, and I think we're looking at it a little wrong. I don't think it's first cases. I think it's if anyone
hey,
comes to me with a case. Period. Because
well,
look at it. I mean,
we've
you
had
know,
several.
yeah, I've had several, and for some reason, like if Star found it, it would be your normal run of the mill. We might catch a couple of EVP, maybe it'd be like a residual haunting thing, normal investigation, just la di da di da.
One and done. Let's go to Huddle House for breakfast, but
Yeah,
not you. No, no, hell no.
no, I do it, and it's well, why is there blood coming from the ceiling?
And why do I stay friends with you? I don't know this,
Well,
but
that's what I said. It's like I keep telling you, you can't you can't get away from me. I'm too much fun, and I'm always in trouble.
yeah, and besides, somebody has to call our friends to bail your ass out.
Yeah,
But
that too.
really though, it does happen that way. And like, I had a friend that took a haunting home. He was an investigator. Took something home from an investigation. Had it for years. They called in clergy. They called in a priest. He called in an independent demonologist. He called anybody he could find. His wife was going to leave him. They actually separated. She was going to divorce him. The daughter ended up leaving the country. I mean, it was bad. He went all over the world trying to find people to help him. He was desperate. And this is a logical man. He was an engineer, an electrical engineer, not prone to crazy shit, you know. But he was having stuff in his house happen. His daughter was being scratched and touched in the shower. Grown daughter, an adult daughter, like a teenager going to college, and she was just between high school and college. She just started freshman year of college. She actually left the country to study overseas to get away because whatever he brought home, she became the focus of the haunting, and it damn near ruined his whole family. He'd call me and we'd talk, and he would just be devastated. He said, "I just don't know what to do. I've been to everybody I can find." And what do you tell somebody like that? You know, this is not a person that's got other mental issues or whatever. He's not. He's not crazy. He's scared.
Yeah, there's not really anything you can tell them. I mean,
I mean, what you
it's
and you
something
feel
that you
awful.
deal with on, constantly in this because these people, like I said, it goes back to the guy from the first, that one episode, the first episode of the Haunted we were talking about. You know, there's some there's some people that do live with hauntings because you might hear footsteps every once in a while. Maybe, you feel a cold draft where there shouldn't be one. Stuff like that. Um, I know. Well, I've told the story before personally of where I live with when I was doing the unpacking. They did. They're not the. There's a spirit here that is not a fan of Slipknot. It pauses the song every time it plays. Okay, that's it. That's all that this spirit does. I mean, it's completely. Other than that, we don't even know it exists. But when you deal with, even not even necessarily completely negative, but just an
Intent,
upgrading
an
and
intent
a
thought.
constant thing. Even it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to necessarily cause harm or do anything like that. But even if it's on a lower level, but it's where it's like lights are getting turned on, where it becomes, I guess you would say, an annoyance more than anything else. You know, they do wear down on you. It does end up hurting, like, I guess you would say, mental standing, because you set and you go through this over and over and over and over, and sometimes you go for months, weeks, years, eh, and you don't really have anywhere to turn, nowhere to say, hey, this is going on and this is what's wrong, and you know, well, I can speak from it or speak a little more of it about in this area where we are, or where I am. You know, we're the only game in town for quite a while. We are the only. Uh, I know there used to be a group in a town called Prince George here. I do not think they're active anymore. I couldn't find anything about them. Um, and that is roughly 8 hours away from us.
Yeah, you're wide open up there.
Well, people, you know, when the more we start coming out and the more we started making ourselves public, people started saying, well, this stuff has gone on for years. It's just, who do you tell?
Yeah.
You know, and even then, I get people even now looking at me occasionally, and it's like, you know, do you really do this stuff? And I'm like, yeah, you've seen me doing it. I've done public presentations, I've done public investigations. Now you've seen me do it. And I'm like, well, we didn't think anybody that would ever be here. And this is even going, not even if they have like if they're having a personal problem, it's that they're amazed because this is stuff you see on TV. This is stuff you see in movies. You don't see it in real life, and it really does, I guess you'd say, confuse and amaze the people around.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it confuses us.
Oh, good chunk of the time it confuses us. I
I
won't
mean, how
deny
many times
that.
last week did I message you on Messenger and say, "What in the hell have we got into now?" Because
Quite a few, and it's a good example.
we got a case we really can't go into details on, but it's a residential case, and it's driving us freaking nuts. I
Yep.
mean, there's no doubt that stuff's happening. Trying to figure out what exactly is going on and how to help these people. We're still working on that.
Yeah.
And if we ever can get a time when we might could talk some more about that or stuff, we will. But most times on residential cases, we can't because they're confidential and we don't talk about them, except in more like broad strokes like we are now. We don't give
Yeah.
details.
Well, that's exactly it. We don't give details on it, and we do actually have a couple of them uh, that we're dealing with because, like I said, October has never ended. We were very busy through October, and it hasn't even haven't come close to ending it yet because we still got a lot of things going that are still hung over from October, including more investigations coming up. We got at least possibly doing one tomorrow, and at least another probably, hopefully, at least another one or two in the next coming week or so. Um, but we've been going now for about 45 minutes. Anything you want to kind of add into the haunting of Hill House or the haunted
No, I think
Netflix?
if you like decent TV, Hill House kind of jumps back and forth some. And I actually watched the first episode, and then I kind of quit and gave up. And you told me to go look at it again, so I did,
Yeah.
and it was pretty good. It ended up
It,
there's a lot in it, and it kind of leaves you hanging a little bit. I'm not sure if I know what the ending actually meant or not.
yeah, it
I mean,
definitely out of it's. But I'm going to tell you right now, as I've said before, I'm in a group. I'm in a lot of different groups on Facebook. One of them is a horror movie television show group, and I've got to say that a lot of people are mixed about the haunting of Hill House. Which, by the way, if anybody wants to get an idea of the show, uh, The Haunting. It's got Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, uh, Owen Wilson. I can't remember who else, but it was a movie from like 98, 99. This is the same thing because it's all based on the book The Haunting of Hill House, which was done in I think the 50s or 60s, maybe even before that. I might be totally off, but anyway. And one thing I've told a lot of people on there that don't come into it expecting modern horror. Don't
no,
come
it's
in.
not a slasher. It's not a slasher movie.
It's not a slasher, and it's not jump scares.
Although there are a couple of them in it.
Oh yeah, there's a few in it. I'm just saying that so many of the modern horror movies and horror TV shows, that's what they count on because it's basically all they got. They've got to make you go, "Ooh, look at that! That was the subtlety of this." And the fact that when you're watching it, things happen in it, and I'm not going to give anything away here, but things happen in it that make you start doubting what you're seeing.
Yeah, look.
And
If you look anytime there's a mirror or glass, look at the reflections in some of the glasses.
and
You might
look
be
at the
surprised.
people. Always watch the people. That was the thing that got me when it started pointing this stuff out, and I'm just like, it was like I said, by the time it starts pointing this stuff out, and by the time it starts giving you the hints and telling you, you're really like, holy crap, I need to watch this again because I don't know what I've actually seen. And it's
Yeah,
like I said, if you go into it expecting old school type horror, not the new stuff, not the jump scares, not the blood and guts and gore, just unsettling, unnerving, and with a few make you bounce back for a second. There's some stuff in it that will scare you, but there's that is few and far between. It's not a constant thing like in a lot of the newer horror. So that's
and
why.
actually,
Hmm?
actually, a lot of the stuff is subtle the way an actual haunting is. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen apparitions, and it was subtle. It was you see somebody get up and walk through a wall, then your brain's like, wait a damn minute, there's nobody in that room, you know, and there was in there just walk through a wall. I just saw that. But that's how it is. It's not like getting hit upside the head. It's subtle, and it'll really mess you up. Um, but check them out. And we wanted to talk about this. Just we wanted to tie a little bit of tie some stuff in, because we noticed that a lot of the things that actually happen on TV and the movies, actually, if you take the Hollywood part out of it, we find these things in some of our cases. The things people
Yeah.
report. Now, we don't think everything's a haunting, but still, I mean, there are other explanations for things. Sometimes a creaky door is a creaky door.
Yeah, very much so. Sometimes a creaky door is a creaky door. Sometimes I know one of the stories, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this because it's something that he said on national radio, so I don't think it's a secret. But Jason was talking about the fact that one of his first investigations was a house that they kept on talking about a specific door opening on its own, and he found out that actually there was a loose floorboard that when you stepped on it at a certain spot, it caused the door to go up just enough for the latch to click and to slide open. And it's like he found that. Of course, the people, they, I don't want to go into them not going into his case, and I don't know, how that went, but you find that, like I said, you go into these investigations. At least you should, if you're not, you go into the investigation and you're looking for reasons, logical reasons, why the things happen the way they do. Squeaky doors, loose floorboards, pipes. People don't realize that. I mean, I know it's an old thing we talked about, we've talked about before and everything, but old pipes that aren't quite attached right or something like that, they make some crazy noises. I mean, literally, they make some crazy noises. And it's stuff that people would not normally consider. It's just not in the realm of, but it's completely normal. It just doesn't sound completely normal. It sounds crazy. Like I said, it just really is.
Yeah,
So,
So I think we're good for the week. I think unless you got anything else, I think
nope.
we're close.
I was just thinking about to start our
Shameless
parade of
plugs.
shameless plugging. I was just getting that all fired. So, if by some miraculous meanings this is, maybe you were abducted by aliens, and instead of putting an anal probe in you, they put in a Nightstalker probe, and this is being miraculously transmitted throughout your body from this probe that was inserted rectally.
You poor bastards.
Yeah, first, we're sorry. Secondly, if you would like to hear more of it that is not being broadcast rectally, you can find us on Speaker, Podcast Addict, Stitcher Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and hopefully soon iHeartRadio and Amazon Alexa. Hopefully I don't trigger yours. If you have a question, comment, or anything else you want to know about us, you can always find us on Facebook at Nightstalker Pod or Twitter at Nightstalker Pod. Of course, for PNBC, if you want to see whatever we got going on there, which right now is pretty much just me running around in circles with my head, like a chicken with my head cut off, you can find us on Facebook at Paranormal BC or online at www.paranormalbc.com. Of course, this is also if you live in the Kitimat area, you can get in touch with us through those ways if you have something that needs to be looked into or any of that nature. And as far as, well, actually, I'll go on and throw out one more shameless plug because, wait, no, I won't. Because if I do that, then this will already, actually, exposing what we're doing here, but we record a little bit ahead of a time so we can have a episode ahead. Of course, we do have the Night Stalker Network coming up, which is, depending on when you're listening to this, either in full swing or about to be. Which our first two people I think we can go on and say that. Of course, it's going to be The Dark Side of the Paranormal with June Lundgren and Wendy Stanton Phillips. I hope I got her name correctly. I did not write it down, which is a big goof up on my end. And of course, unclassified case, or sorry, Uncharted Case Files with Ryan Stacy, the Assistant Director of Investigation for MUFON Canada. So those are coming out, of course, sometime in the near future. We are also going to be having Mind, Body, and Spirit with psychic medium Sherry, and God knows what else we've got planned. So those are all going to be coming in the new year in full swing. I think we're going to be getting, as like I said, either some of them are already up or coming soon, depending on when you hear this broadcast. So until the next time, and let me see if I can get this final part out. Until next time, this has been Joel Walling signing off for Michael Smith. We hope you enjoyed, and thanks for listening.